What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossover, Party Wallop. Easily one of the best mashups that I think we've so far seen, and when it does come down to this guy's design, I think in execution, they have mostly done a bang-on job. So as we check out the details, despite being a full-blown mechanized turtle, that head sculpt is looking wicked. Now, if you really wanted to, you could also attach on a brand new chest plate, but to be fair, guys, I think the details packed beneath are looking sick, especially when it comes down to that brand new belt buckle, which is packing a gimmick where you are able to alternate between the different insignias of the main four turtles, which I thought was epic. I'm also a big fan of how they have integrated the actual party wagon into this guy's design. So for example, they have made use out of some of the extra vehicle mode components and have transformed those babies into full-blown armaments. He's also packing the iconic turtle shell, which honestly, guys, I think makes this one of the only Transformers in existence to totally be rocking a backpack. This actually looks really nicely detailed, and I would be lying if I now wasn't anticipating a potential big bad shredder as a companion piece to this bad boy. High kicking our way into this guy's accessories, he is absolutely stacked. So up first, we do see the return of the front end of the vehicle form, which in addition to becoming the actual chest plate, you could totally pop this baby off and transform it into a full-blown shield. I also thought that it was a sweet attention to detail how you can also pop off the front shell and transform that baby into a full-blown pizza. To pair alongside the reversible belt buckle, we do get in total 4 interchangeable bandanas for us to recreate our own personal favourite turtle, which again I thought was a sick attention to detail. Now, in addition to the bow staff, you can totally store all of these accessories into this guy's backpack, which again I thought was such a sweet attention to detail because you don't need any of the extra accessories just hanging off to the side. Speaking of weaponry, up first we do see the return of Michelangelo's iconic nunchucks, which to my surprise are not pre-posed. I'm also a big fan of how these do seamlessly integrate into the shoulder pad design. Next up, to club the crap out of those Decepticons, we also see the return of Donatello's iconic bow staff. Although unfortunately, when you begin to compress it, the joints definitely have a tendency to want to self-combust. Considering the price point, I really don't think it would have been asking too much for them to have smacked a pin through those babies. In order to slice and dice those Decepticons, Leonardo is packing a pair of his iconic katanas, which to be fair, guys, again when it comes to detail, I think are looking brutal. Then last but by no means least, we do see the return of Raphael's iconic size. So when it does come down to mincing those Decepticons up, all 4 of these turtles I think should have no issues in doing so. Backflipping our way into this guy's posability, despite being a chunky turtle, this guy is most definitely packing a punch. So to begin with, the head can look up, it can look down, it can then tilt side to side, and also turn both left to right. His shoulder pads have no issues at all in hinging upwards, to allow for a pretty decent high kick going out to the side. In addition to that, the arms can punch both forwards and backwards. The bicep can turn all the way around, the elbows can bend pretty much to 90, and despite the transformation, the wrist has no issues in turning side to side. So when it does come down to getting down and dirty on that battlefield, this guy should have no issues in slicing and dicing some of those Decepticons. Despite the shell on the back, the waist can turn both left to right, and if you really wanted to, you could totally pop off the spoiler in order to create, again, a slightly more Ninja Turtle accurate look. Despite the hip armor, these babies have no issues in hinging upwards, to allow for surprisingly a really decent kick going out to the side. They can also high kick going forwards and going backwards, although unfortunately this is slightly hindered. The thigh can turn all the way around, the knee can bend pretty much there to 90, then finally his ankles can rock inwards, allowing you to get this guy into some pretty freaky poses. But as I'm sure you guys all know by now, to see the true power of Party Wallop, now let's put him through the pose test. Punching our way into some robot mode size comparisons, first up we have the Back to the Future crossover, Gigawatt, who up until the release of Party Wallop was my favourite mashup to date. But I'm gonna be honest, guys, the amount of Easter eggs they were able to cram into this figure I think is seriously sick, and we haven't even gotten around to the Party Wagon just yet, so it is definitely safe to say that this bad boy has become dethroned. Next up we have the myth, the legend that is the Earthrise Optimus Prime, and Party Wallop is a big boy, especially when it does come down down to mass, this guy's absolutely stacked in that plastic department. Then finally, we are whacking out the leader class Bumblebee movie Megatron. Now just hear me out guys, but am I crazy, or could this maybe work for an upcoming Shredder, especially if we were going by some of those Michael Bay redesigns? Using the skills learned by the almighty Splinter, the time has now come for us to transform Party Wallop into the iconic Party Wagon. So for the first step, take a hold of this panel and begin to slide this here downwards, just like that. Again guys, make sure to do the same on the opposite side. Then for the next step, we can take a hold of the turtle shell and begin to hinge this here backwards, take a hold of this component and extend that baby there upwards. We can then take a hold of the head sculpt and begin to slide this here backwards into that massive gaping hole. For the next step, we can then take a hold of the armor and begin to swing this here forwards. And again guys, make sure to do the same on the opposite side. We can then take a hold of the backpack and begin to hinge this here upwards, just like that. We can then spin to the underside of the backpack, take a hold of these panels and begin to swing these babies here outwards, extending those panels right at the very tip. Now for the next step, you are going to spin to the underside of the backpack. This tab is going to slide into a slot which is on top of this yellow panel. So we are going to take the shoulder joint, we are going to begin to bring this here inwards until eventually that does very nicely slide there into place. Again guys, showing it this time from a slightly different angle, we are going to take the shoulder, we are going to bring this here all the way to the back, making sure that eventually that yellow armor snaps into the green tab on the underside. You are then going to take a hold of the rear windows and pinch these babies directly down the middle. This tab here is then going to slide into a slot which is underneath the turtle shell, just like this. With the back end now completely transformed, we can then take a hold of this component and snap this here downwards. We can then take a hold of these sections and begin to angle these babies here upwards. We can then spin down to the base of this bad boy, take a hold of the tire and begin to slide this here outwards. You are then going to take the heel spur and slide this here upwards. Again guys, make sure to do the same on the opposite side. Take that heel spur and fold it here all the way into the base of the foot. We are then going to take the outer panel, detach it here away from this green nub and begin to slide this here upwards all of the way, just like that. Again, be sure to do the same on the opposite side, so angle this here all the way up. And then as I'm sure you guys would then guess, we are going to proceed to combine these babies directly down the middle. The next step is easily my favorite, as we are now going to take the front end and begin to slide this here all the way backwards, just like this. We can then pinch the top and the bottom until all of this does very nicely snap there into place. What you'll do next is take the front wheel and line it up perfectly with this tab until that too also snaps into place. And again guys, make sure to do exactly the same on the opposite side. You are then going to want to take a hold of this panel and slide this here downwards, making sure to do exactly the same on the opposite side. We can then take a hold of this panel and begin to slide this here backwards, and the absolute same applies for the opposite side. We are then going to take a hold of this panel and slide this here all the way down until this does very nicely clip into place. Then for the final step, we are going to take this panel, also slide this down and clip that baby into place, and there is Party Wallop now fully transformed. Cowabungering their way out of the sewer and onto the battlefield, here we have Party Wallop now fully transformed into the iconic Party Wagon. And alongside both Ectotron and Gigawatt, this has to be by far one of the best looking crossovers that I think they've ever made. Honestly, when it does come around to detail, if you weren't a Transformers fan, could you ever guess that packed on the inside was a full-blown mechanized turtle? I think when it comes around to detail, this is looking pretty spot on to how the Party Wagon did appear in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon series. Especially as we check out the details from the front. The painting and the sculpting throughout I think is on point. I'm also a big fan of how you can also fully weaponize those weapons with blast effects, again making this guy appear to be an absolute unit. Even as we spin him around here to the back, this has surprisingly been completely painted, which I thought was sick, and as we flip him here to the underside, all of the weapons can fully integrate into the transformation. The only difference would be that this time round, the size and the katanas have to store on the base, but to be fair guys, I thought that it was sick that all of the accessories can be held even when in vehicle form. Not to forget that all four wheels are pinned on, so when it does come down to burning rubber for the last slice of pizza, Party Wallop should have no issues in beating the other four to the punch. Racing our way through some vehicle mode comparisons, we are once again back at it by whacking out the legend that is Gigawatts. Now, to be honest, ever since Hasbro dropped Ectotron, I think they have mostly done a banging job when it comes down to some of these crossovers, and Party Wallop may have just set a brand new standard, because the second that we spin these bad boys here to the side, not only is he packing in the accuracy department, but also when it comes down to scale, this guy is an absolute unit, even when compared alongside the myth, the legend that is the Earthrise Optimus Prime. And I'm so glad that they kind of put this guy roughly in the Voyager scale, because he most definitely looks sick, especially when compared alongside other vehicles. And to be honest guys, I do think the size between these two actually works out pretty nicely. So, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers and TMNT crossover, Party Wallop. Need I say more? I think this is easily one of the best mashups that we've ever seen them released, and this guy is most definitely going to take some topping. When it comes around to robot mode, a great twist on the classic Ninja Turtle design. The way they've kind of mechanized it, I think for the most part works out really well, and the accessories are absolutely packing. This guy includes pretty much everything and more that I would want from this crossover, including the ability to change between all four of the iconic Ninja Turtles. I also think the transformation is incredibly enjoyable, but the Party Wagon mode is by far one of the best looking crossovers that I think we've so far seen. The details are on point. To be honest, there really isn't anything that I can complain about. If you are a fan of the Ninja Turtles and Transformers, then this truly is the ultimate mashup. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on Party Wallop down in the comment section below. What do you guys think? I want to thank you all so much for watching, and until my next video, transform and roll out!